up a game right now with his 4-color control deck. This is a value fest between the two, so we have 4-color control versus Jund. Gonna run down the board for you right here. On your right, you have Jonathan Sukenik. He's up a game. He's playing 4-color control. He has a Gideon Jura in play right now with what looks to be 8 counters on it and 2 tapped spirit tokens. Gideon plussing can never be a good thing for the other side, and a slew of lands. On Hugo's side, however, he does have some game. He has a copy of Grim Lavamancer in play. He has a Raging Ravine with at least 1 counter on it, and a Batterskull in hand. So interesting to see where we go from here.
Well, you can see Jonathan very close to threatening lethal here. Celestial Cannonade alongside his spirit tokens. Hugo at only 8.
Absolutely.
And that card's really good against creature decks. Don't know if you remember.
And get where we are just now. Looks like Jonathan just having a freshly cast Gideon and plussing it.
What I enjoy about covering Modern, this is the first tournament I've got to cover the format, is you get these ghosts of standard pass that show up. Not quite good enough for
Gideon Jura.
Right,
yeah.
Not quite good enough for legacy play. Very powerful in standard, and for the right matchups or the right situations can still be a key contributor.
Gideon Jura is a card that's actually seen every time. I always get people asking me, you know, I want to play land go blue-white control. What do I play in Modern? I was like, well, every once in a while you get like a Calciform Pools deck or some sort of control deck that, you know, and they're like, well, what's your finisher? I'm like, I think Gideon Jura. I think he's one of the better ones. You see Hugo shooting at the Gideon Jura. He's going to go with Grim Lavamancer. Doing that so the Grim Lavamancer does not have to attack. Actually, no, it's just going to attack Gideon, it looks like.
Yep.
And Batterskull to play. If you do want a card, though, that's Gideon Jura proof, you could do a lot worse than Batterskull.
It's fine, and with the game shaping up to be a damage race the way that it is, it's a bit of a buffer.
However, this turn was it. Gideon can 0 and Superman across, and he will have to chump with the Germ token.
That does give Jonathan, or Hugo rather, the opportunity to move it on to Grim Lavamancer, which is a very good setup. Getting a lot of life. The Midas ability on Gideon, not that effective against a creature with Vigilance.
Absolutely. So we'll see where Jonathan goes from here. Batterskull in play for Hugo. He's down at 8. 2 flyers in play for Jonathan, so a lot of game here. Celestial Colonnade in play. If he had 2 more damage, he could get it across. He has 6 in the air, but 6 is not 8.
And for the slugfest that was Jeff Hoogland versus Gerard Fabiano, this matchup even more extreme in that respect.
Yeah, absolutely. This is just haymakers left and right. Last match we saw kind of haymakers versus tempo, and this is mythics versus mythics. Gideons versus Batterskulls, Colonnades versus Raging Ravines. Gideon going to -2, and he'll go ahead and destroy the Grim Lavamancer. And of note, there is a Tectonic Edge hanging out on Jonathan's side of the board, so it does have that Raging Ravine covered. We'll see Jonathan swinging for 6 in the air. It is 2 Spirit Tokens and the Celestial Colonnade. This will put Hugo down to 2. It does mean even if Hugo gains 4 next turn off the Batterskull, Jonathan should have another lethal swing.
Yeah, this is a really nice setup, and he's got a Tectonic Edge to cover the Raging Ravine as well. The Batterskull also can't kill Gideon. It's only 4 attack versus 5 loyalty on the Planeswalker. So Batterskull definitely powerful for Hugo here, but it might be just a little bit short unless the top of his deck's cooperative.
See here, Hugo checking out the board state. Yeah, the Tectonic Edge taking out Raging Ravine right now. So John and Hugo with 1 card in hand, Batterskull in play. Not many options. He was your overall 1 seed, finishing the tournament with only 1 loss during the Swiss, the only player to only lose a single match. Everyone else with at least 2 losses. He may pick up a 2nd loss right here, though. Down a game, things are looking pretty grim for him.
Yeah, Jonathan's deck just a little bit better at playing the value game. Hugo still definitely with outs in this situation, but it's slipping away.
And that's been pretty interesting, actually. Some of the different approaches that people have taken to defeat Abzan or black-green style decks. We are seeing people go into, I think, it seems like Jonathan's deck's operating out of a Jeskai shell, kind of like these Jeskai control decks we saw, but then he started dipping into black for even bigger and more powerful things, you know, really just trying to outpower the mid-range decks.
Basically just looking at Mystical Teachings and Lingering Souls.
Scavenging Ooze to drop for Hugo. That life gain should be enough to keep him alive at least one turn, provided there's a creature in the yard. And there is one. It's Grim Lavamancer.
Jonathan's
alive, but
Colonnade plus Flyers plus Gideon still can do a lot of work in this situation.
yeah. And I was going to say, next turn, Hugo threatens to move Batterskull over to the Germ Toke, over to Scavenging Ooze, and maybe gain enough life. And I'd say that'd be great, except for the fact that Jonathan drew a real big winner here, and that's Mystical Teachings. So this deck's not like Mystical Teach, not based around the card, but boy, does it have a lot of targets. I'm going to run through some of the things he can get here, and they're all pretty good. Remember, it can find any instant or card or creature with flash. So it can find Snapcaster Mage, actually. It can find Path to Exile, Lightning Helix, Sphinx's Revelation, Cryptic Command. There's probably something that just wins here.
Yeah, Cryptic's not bad. Supreme Verge is a good reset button if it comes to that.
Yeah, with Cryptic Command, he can just Cryptic, tap all of Hugo's things, make Gideon into a creature, and should be able to swing for the win. And I think those are the modes that Jonathan Sukenik has taken. Yep. And that'll be it. 2-0, Jonathan Sukenik over Hugo Rodrigues. He is into the top 4.
And as predicted, I mean, it looks like a pretty close matchup on the surface. I'm sure Hugo has some tools, but Jonathan, just a little bit more power in his deck. A great tournament for Hugo Rodrigues. Just the first seed ran away with the tournament on top of the standings all day long, but I think just ran into a rough pairing.